Welcome back, warrior. We are on Mosiah chapter 24. We're way behind schedule. We're like a whole week late. So that's not good. But we're plugging along, so that's what we're going to do. Just going to keep going. That's what we do. Okay. So chapter 24 is 25 verses. Again, I keep forgetting my glasses. I just need to have them here. I need like a bucket or something. Okay, so it says, Amulon persecutes Alma and his people. They are to be put to death if they pray. The Lord makes their burdens seem light. He delivers them from bondage, and they return to Zarahemla. Okay, good thing we're not reading from this because it's too tiny. So there's that. Okay. Whoop, we were trying to check it. Okay. So here are the kings over individual lands. So we have King Laman as the head guy. And then we have 7 kings under that. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Okay, so verse 1. And it came to pass that Amulon did gain favor in the eyes of the king of the Lamanites. Therefore, the king of the Lamanites granted unto him and his brethren that they should be appointed teachers over his people. Yea, even over the people who were in the land of Shemlon. And in the land of Shemlon, there was Shemlon and Shimlon, and in the land of Amulon. For the Lamanites had taken possession of all these lands. Therefore, the king of the Lamanites had appointed kings over all these lands. And now the name of the king of the Lamanites was Laman, being called after the name of his father, and therefore he was called King Laman. And he was king over a numerous people. And he appointed teachers of the brethren of Amulon in every land which was possessed by his people. And thus the language of Nephi began to be taught among all the people of the Lamanites. And they were a people friendly one with another. Nevertheless, oh, okay. Where's my nevertheless? Now I'm lost. Ugh. Okay. And he appointed teachers of the brethren of Amulon in every land which was possessed by his people. Thus the language of Nephi began to be taught among all the people of the Lamanites. And they were a people friendly one with another. Nevertheless, there it is. They knew not God, neither did the brethren of Amulon teach them anything concerning the Lord their God, neither the law of Moses, nor did they teach them the words of Abinadi. But they taught them that they should keep their record, and that they might write to one to another. And thus the Lamanites began to increase in riches, and began to trade one with another, and wax great, and began to be a cunning and a wise people as to the wisdom of the world. Yea, a very cunning people, delighting in all manner of wickedness and plunder, except it were among their own brethren. Okay, so it says, Amulon was the leader of the priests, and he gained favor in the king of the Lamanites, and he so appointed Amulon and other priests to be teachers over the Lamanites. Mormon gives an explanation to the political hierarchy among the Lamanites, and explains that there was a main king, King Laman, who was over kings of many lands. In verse 5, these priests who had claimed to believe in the law of Moses had abandoned any teachings about God or the law of Moses, and only taught the Lamanites temporal things. That sounds familiar. Okay, so, and it came to pass that Amulon began to exercise authority over Alma and his brethren, and began to persecute him, and caused that his children should persecute their children. For Amulon knew Alma, that he had been one of the king's priests, and that it was he that believed the words of Abinadi, and was driven out before the king, and therefore he was wroth with him. For he was subject to King Laman, yet he exercised authority over them, and put tasks upon them, and put taskmasters over them. And it came to pass that so great were their afflictions that they began to cry mightily unto God. And Amulon commanded them that they should stop their cries, and he put guards over them to watch them, that whosoever should be found calling upon God should be put to death. So there was no prayer allowed. Verse 12, and Alma and his people did not raise their voices to the Lord their God, but did pour out their hearts to him. And he did know the thoughts of their hearts. And sometimes that happens where you have to change the way you pray based on your circumstances. And there's no wrong way to pray, you know. And verse 13, and it came to pass that the voice of the Lord came to them in their affliction, saying, lift up your heads and be of good comfort, for I know of the covenant which ye have made unto me, and I will covenant with my people and deliver them out of bondage. And I will also ease the burdens which are put upon your shoulders, that even you cannot feel them upon your backs, even while you are in bondage. And this will I do, that ye may stand as a witness for me hereafter, and that ye may know of a surety that I, the Lord God, do visit my people in their afflictions. Okay, so Amulon had an opportunity to persecute Alma and his people, and he did. And he taught his children to persecute the Nephite children. We can see the depth of Amulon's wickedness in verses 10 to 11, when he commanded the Nephites to stop praying, or else they would be put to death. This was a very serious situation where a very evil man was threatening their lives, but with their faith pushed to such limits, they still looked to God. It is here we can see the great difference between two groups of Nephites. Limhi's people murmured and wanted to go to war, and this resulted in many deaths and great sorrow. It wasn't until after 3 battles that they turned to the Lord. But Alma's people looked directly and consistently to the Lord, and we will see that they had a very different experience in their bondage. In verses 13 to 14, the Lord promised them deliverance, but before deliverance, he promised them strength. Elder Bednar used these scriptures to teach this vital lesson. Okay, it is so sleepy right now. Okay, it says, the challenges and difficulties were not immediately removed from the people, but Alma and his followers were strengthened, and their increased capacity made their burdens lighter. These good people were empowered through the atonement to act as agents and impact their circumstances. And in the strength of the Lord, Alma and his people were directed to safety in the land of Zarahemla. Not only does the atonement of Jesus Christ overcome the effects of the fall of Adam and make possible the remission of our individual sins and transgressions, but his atonement also enables us to do good and become better in ways that stretch far beyond our mortal capacities. Most of us know that when we do things wrong and we need help to overcome the effects of sin, when we do things wrong and need help to overcome the effects of sin in our lives, the Savior has made it possible for us to become clean through his redeeming power. But do we also understand that the atonement is for faithful men and women who are also who are obedient, worthy, and conscientious, and who are striving to become better and serve more faithfully? I wonder if we fail to fully acknowledge this strengthening aspect of the atonement in our lives and mistakenly believe we must carry our load all alone through sheer grit, willpower, and discipline, and with our obviously limited capacities. Yeah, no. It is one thing to, that was my mini comment. It was one thing to know that Jesus Christ came to earth to die for us, but we also need to appreciate that the Lord desires through his atonement and by the power of the Holy Ghost to enliven us, not only to guide, but also to strengthen and heal us. End quote. Ooh, I love this so much. Elder David A. Bednar, April 2014 General Conference. That is so good. I love that. I'm going to take a screenshot because I need that quote. Let's see. How do I take a screenshot again like this? It's like I don't take screenshots enough. I always forget. So that was Elder David A. Bednar quote from 2014 April General Conference. All right, done. Save the photos. All right. Okay, verse 15. And now it came to pass that the burdens which were laid upon Alma and his brethren were made light. Yea, the Lord did strengthen them that they could bear up their burdens with ease. And they did submit cheerfully and with patience to all the will of the Lord. So the redhead hostess says this. I have the driest lips. That's not what she says, but this is what I'm saying. Before they were delivered from their bondage, these Nephites experienced what happens when the Lord strengthens individuals in their afflictions. Not only did the Lord strengthen them that they could bear up their burdens with ease, but they did submit cheerfully and with patience to all the will of the Lord. So the Lord blessed them, and in return, they trusted him. Okay. And it's true, like the only way to build that trust in the Lord is you have to test what he says. That's the thing that's so hard, I think. Sometimes we don't believe the Lord, but we also haven't put our trust in him. Like we haven't even tried the thing that he told us to try. And so then our faith isn't strengthened because we haven't tried the thing that we need to try. And what's the thing that you need to try? Well, I don't know. We would have to pray to find out what it is. And then you ask the Lord to help you to accomplish that thing and then see how it went, right? So yeah, you want to always reflect on those things that you have asked the Lord to help you with and see how it is that he showed up for you. Because for me, it's almost easy to see where Satan shows up in my life, but I don't take as much time to notice when the Lord shows up in my life, even though I just know that he's always there. But if I had more, if I gave myself more opportunities to write and express gratitude, I'm guessing I would definitely be able to see his hand in my life a lot more than I do now. But that's on me. You know, that doesn't mean he's not blessing me. That just means I'm not recognizing what he's doing for me in my life. That's like, you know, it's like a child and a parent. Like they don't realize that they have it so good that they get food, shelter, you know, without even trying. And we pay for their soccer and sports and talents, you know, but they take it for granted. So they don't understand. Anyways, and verse 16, and it came to pass that so great was their faith and their patience that the voice of the Lord came unto them again, saying, Be of good comfort, for on the morrow I will deliver you out of bondage. And he said unto Alma, Thou shalt go before this people, and I will go with thee and deliver this people out of bondage. Sorry, I need to check. Okay, so we're going to 25. Now it came to pass, so this is the deliverance. Now it came to pass that Alma and his people in the nighttime gathered their flocks together, and also their grain, yea, even all the nighttime were they gathering their flocks together. So they believed, so they were prepared. And in the morning, the Lord caused a deep sleep to come upon Sister Winegar. No, I'm just playing. For real, though. Because right now I'm so sleepy. And in the morning, the Lord caused a deep sleep to come upon the Lamanites. Yea, and all their taskmasters were in a profound sleep. You know that kind of sleep where you like, your alarm, you set your alarm, but you have no idea how it turned off. You had your husband leave for work, couldn't even tell that anything happened at all. So, you thought that he was always there. You have your kids running around the house, but you're like totally out. That's the sleep that I'm guessing that they experience, because I'm like, how do you not notice a ton of people leaving? But I'm like such a deep sleeper that, yeah, like it's like I would totally miss all that, which is so funny because if our little girl even cries for a little bit, I can hear it in my sleep and then I immediately wake up. It must be like that mama bear kind of thing. And not the same thing as like when random people are just passing you by to escape. Verse 20. It's like their job, right? I used to fall asleep at my desk job, and like a while back, like when I was 19 or something, or 20, 19, 19. And it was so, well, maybe it was 18. Anyway, it was a desk job and it was so sleepy. I was like, but like I would fall asleep because I was just sitting there and waiting for phone calls because I was working customer service for a beeper company, for a pager company. So, one second. Okay. So where was I? Okay. So Alma and his people departed into the wilderness, and when they had traveled all day, they pitched their tents in the valley, and they called the valley Alma because he led their way in the wilderness. Yea, and in the valley of Alma, they poured out their thanks to God because he had been merciful unto them and eased their burdens and had delivered them out of bondage. For they were in bondage, and none could deliver them except it were the Lord their God. Right? And that's so great that you can acknowledge when the Lord is helping you and is there for you. Verse 22, and they gave thanks to God, yea, all their men and all their women and all their children that could speak lifted their voices in the praises of their God. And now the Lord said unto Alma, haste thee and get thou and this people out of this land, for the Lamanites have awakened and do pursue thee. Therefore, get thee out of this land, and I will stop the Lamanites in this valley, that they come no further in pursuit of this people. And it came to pass that they departed out of the valley and took their journey into the wilderness. And after they had been in the wilderness 12 days, they arrived in the land of Zarahemla. And King Mosiah did also receive them with joy. That's exciting, you know. What if they hadn't trusted the Lord? What if they were like, we're going to stay here in this valley of Alma or something because we already set up all this stuff. We don't want to go somewhere else, right? What if they did that? They would have missed out on being able to go to Zarahemla. Okay, so the commentary. Unlike Limhi and his people, they were not sent to a rescue team, but they didn't need one because they knew how to be guided by the Lord. The Lord took care of the details, and like Limhi and his people, Alma's people escaped with their belongings and no loss of life. But unlike Limhi and his people, these Nephites had not experienced loss trying to gain their own deliverance. Since Alma and his people had always looked to the Lord, their experience was full of miracles and grace. Yeah, because they didn't have those consequences attached because of their killing a prophet, right? Since Alma and his people had always looked to the Lord, their experience was full of miracles and grace. Oh, yeah, right, I noticed that. I read that. Notice in verse 25 how quickly the Lord guided them to Zarahemla, and also notice that King Mosiah received them with joy. King Mosiah would have learned about these people by this point, and this group of the Nephites are only going to strengthen Zarahemla and bring a great legacy of faith. Woo! Isn't that awesome? That is amazing. But it's true. I think I didn't really give that parallel, I didn't really think of that parallel comparison from like the people of Limhi and the people of Alma. And so I think that's awesome that we can see the comparison. You know, they didn't get to Zarahemla as early in their journey as Alma's people. And so it goes to show you that when we make poor choices, we got to experience the consequence of our choices, and then the blessings can come. But we're not able to undo the consequences from our poor choices. What can we learn from Alma and his people as we face our own struggles and trials, right? Like, which way do you want to have your struggles and trials, with the Lord or without the Lord? Like, I do not want to go through my trials and struggles alone. That is for dang sure. Okay, we're going to read now, or read it, live it, for this chapter. Where is it? We're on Mosiah chapter 24. Did I pass it? I totally did. Okay. Man, I am so sleepy. Okay. The Lord might not take away our burdens, but if we ask, he will strengthen our backs. Ooh, love that. Pray for his strength. So I have a sweet friend who is struggling with betrayal trauma, and her husband is not choosing to stick to his commitment to recovery. And I mean, it's hard, you know, it takes courage, it takes time, it takes diligent effort and consistent effort, yet he's not ready to do that yet. But my poor friend, you know, like, I feel like sometimes we wait for other people to come around to help us with our journey, with our healing. And I have found that I can't wait around for somebody else to make a change so that I can heal. I tried that and it doesn't work because we can't control the actions of other people. And that only makes me more frustrated when I can't control the things around me. And so when I can't control those things around me, I have to let them go. I have to give them to the Lord. I have to say, you know, like, put it at his feet and say, here, I can't control this. I know that you can, and help me to release that responsibility for myself, that stressor, because things that I can't control frustrate me. And so the more things that I try to control that are not actually in my control, the less in control I feel. The more things that I can take control of that are my responsibility, that are things I can control, the more control I feel, the more in control I feel. And so I don't want to feel that chaos, and I don't want to feel that crazy. So anyways, so I challenge you to find something that you have been trying to control, or maybe someone, and release yourself from that responsibility, no matter how hard that might be, and give that to the Lord. And I know that you will actually feel like a burden lifted, and then take control of something that you can control. You know, I'll give you one example and then I'll let you go. So my 15-year-old, I think I've told you, he doesn't want to go to the temple with me anymore. And I mean, I was trying to make him go so hard, you know, and make him work out with me and all these things, because I know he's trying to go on this soccer team that he's trying to get to. But every time I try to ask him to come with me, it's like literal, I can't even call it pulling teeth, because I've pulled teeth and it's pretty easy. So I mean, I guess I pull the loose teeth, right? But that's what's so crazy. Like I cannot control him. And so, you know, I was like, I can't control you, and it's up to you if you want to do this. So I'm not going to make you go to the temple. I'm not going to make you come work out with me. And you've got to make those good choices on your own now. You're big enough, and you know what it is that you need to do based on your goals. So that's what I said. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. It feels awesome. I went to the temple the other day by myself. And although I was really sad that I didn't have, although I was really sad that he's not there with me, I was actually having a good temple experience, you know, whereas the rest of the temple experiences, I show up and I'm like, this is so great, because my son has this facial expression that is complete disgust with me and with everything having to do with me. And now, you know, I don't have to worry about that, and he can just choose to go on his own. There are those things that I totally believe that I need to make people do, but I know that the Lord doesn't make us do things. And so, like, if I'm trying to be like Jesus, that's what I need to do. I need to be like Jesus and not make him go, and make him do something he doesn't want to do. So it's hard to let go, but I know that he loves him too. And so I'm just like, here you go. The Lord has always been in control. I don't know why I pretend like I'm in control, especially of my kids. The Lord has always been in control there, because we struggle with infertility. And so it's like, why did I even expect that I was ever going to be in control at all? since when we wanted them, they didn't come. And they only come when the Lord wants them to come. And so I may as well give them right back and say, here you go. Here you go. These are they who you gave me. Now you can have them back, because I've taught them what I can teach them. And now they have to make their own choices, even if it seems like it's at a younger age than I would have expected. Right? So hopefully by doing that, they can understand, like, oh, mom does care about me, does care about my choices, and wants to help me, even though she's not making me do things, So anyways, we have that. All right. Until tomorrow / maybe later today, stay strong, warrior. We are so behind.